Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
This is my boomstick.
Here's Johnny.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Righteous! Righteous! Yeah!
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Good morning, Vietnam!
Houston, we have a problem.
The first rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Those Film Nerds podcast. As always, I am your host, willspalding, and I'm always and currently joined by good friend, sjdierberger. Sam, how are you doing this fine day?
I am doing fantastic. How are you, Will?
Well, you know, I don't know if I should say fine day. It is currently snowing where I am at on October 19th, 2020.
Okay.
I think it's actually stopped right now, but it was snowing for about 4 hours this morning as I'm looking out my window to check. It is not snowing anymore, but it was snowing for quite a good while this morning, which feels wrong because it's mid-October.
Well, you know, you're getting a little bit of northern exposure up there. We haven't seen any snow here in Missouri yet, but it's been like 45 degrees all day, and I'm kind of disappointed. But
yeah, the month of fall was really nice.
Yeah,
the 3 weeks of fall were good.
The 3 weeks of fall. I mean, last month, I gotta say, this September, it was like 80 degrees every single day. It was beautiful.
Yes, it was. You were right. But that should we should talk about this on our spinoff podcast, but not for today.
We're doing like a weekly weather update every week now, I guess.
Yeah.
So
exactly. I want to know how many spinoff podcasts we have because it's a lot of work.
We have several.
It's a lot of work. We do a lot of work.
This
is all we do. We just record every day.
Yes.
But today we're talking movies today because that's what this podcast is. But before we get into the movie of the week, I do want to talk about some industry news. However, before we talk industry news, Sam, what is said movie of the week?
This week we're talking about The Trial of the Chicago 7.
We want to underscore again that we're coming to Chicago peacefully, but whether we're given permits or not, we're coming.
We're going to Chicago to protest the Vietnam War.
And there's no place to be right now but in it.
We watched for a decade while these rebels without a job tell us how to prosecute a war. Because they're going to spend their 30s in a federal facility, real time.
Ooh, The Trial of Chicago 7. Obviously, the highly anticipated out of myself because of the people involved in it, both on the screen and off the screen. So, but we won't talk about that quite yet, as there's been a little bit of industry news that has happened, and I have 3 things, Sam, and not one of them is a delay. So that's interesting.
Oh.
That being said, do you have anything to talk about, and is there a delay in there?
I consider myself an optimist. So, you know, I don't have any film delay news because that's just not productive because every film in the world is getting delayed right now.
Exactly.
I have a thing of interest. Harrison Ford and Ed Helms cast in Adventures of Bert Squire comedy movie. Now, Will, I know that you are a massive Ed Helms fan. I know you just think he is so funny.
Oh, he's hilarious.
He's just a comedic genius. So.
Yes. Yeah, no, he's great. Ed Helms is great. Why what is Harrison Ford doing? He does
I don't know what he's doing with his life.
He does this. He does the Call of the Wild from earlier this year. Like he doesn't make good decisions.
I don't think it's all about the money.
It is.
It's
it
all
is.
about the money.
I mean,
He stopped caring about what role he will play years ago. Decades ago.
He's on record of even saying, you know, Disney came to me with Star Wars, and I was like, I don't know if I want to do it. And they're like, what sold you? Oh, the money. The money sold me. Which, hey,
when he came back in The Last Skywalker, he had to he kept negotiating with them to make a 1-minute cameo appearance. He's like, could you do 5 million?
How much did he end up getting? Do you know?
I have no idea. I need to find out. But
Because
he had to negotiate with them.
That would be a funny number to know. How much Harrison Ford made for The Rise of Skywalker, where he's on screen for 30 seconds. But so this, as you're looking this up, this Ed Helms, Harrison Ford, can we assume it's going to be a buddy cop movie? Oh, I hope so.
It looks like, okay, from what I understand, the character is like some sort of comic book character type thing.
Oh.
Bert Squire, the seafaring comedy titled The Miserable Adventures of Bert Squire Aboard the Horn High Yo, is set to star unlikely duo Harrison Ford and Ed Helms. The trip takes a turn for the worse when he's shipwrecked with a manic sea captain played by Harrison Ford.
Great. This sounds.
Ed Helms will play a disillusioned family man who tries to cope with his midlife crisis by embarking on a sailing vacation. This could be kind of funny.
No, it won't be.
I want to see Harrison Ford play a manic sea captain. I just enjoy it. There was that movie, The Mosquito Coast, where he kind of plays a professor who slowly goes insane, and that's that could be worth something. But you don't see Harrison Ford going into like crazy roles like this where the person goes crazy, but this should be enjoyable. I'm interested.
I don't like Ed Helms, and I don't like comedian Harrison Ford. I don't know, like this just screams awful to me. But we'll see. We'll see. So, do you have any more thoughts on that, or should I move on to one of my bits?
Yeah. Let's hear one of your bits.
So, I don't know if you have ever seen Mad Max Fury Road, but some interesting news came out this week regarding a prequel to that movie. Of course, that movie starring Charlize Theron in the role of Furiosa, and the prequel is about her character, I should say, as Anya Taylor-Joy will be Furiosa, who is Charlize Theron's character. I'm not sure. I don't know if you're aware of Anya Taylor-Joy. She's in like Split. She's in a number of things. I mean, she's in The Witch. She's the girl in The Witch.
Yes, Thomason.
Yeah, she's a good actress. I just think Charlize is better.
Good actress.
So. It's a prequel, Sam. But do you have any thoughts on this recap?
Well, I mean,
do you think Anya Taylor-Joy can live up to Charlize?
I think I need to get into Mad Max because I have no idea about that universe.
Sure. And I am on the record of not being a huge fan of Mad Max Fury Road, which is a hot sports opinion. So
really,
I'm not super excited for this. I'm even less excited for it because Charlize isn't involved. But I guess we'll see. I'm not sure if George Miller, the same director, will be directing, but I guess that'll be determined at a later date. I'm reading now. I don't think he's. No, it looks like he is. Directing.
Okay. Well, that's interesting news, certainly. And I know there's just this. There's a very devoted fan base for Mad Max. that franchise generally.
They are, and they're very vocal about it.
Yes, I've noticed.
So
what was your other? What are your other pieces of news?
I got two more here. Let's see. Do you want some Adam McKay news or Ridley Scott news?
Give me the Adam McKay news.
Okay. Adam McKay, of course, director of Vice, The Big Short, and a number of Will Ferrell comedies, is doing another movie called Don't Look Up, and it's got quite the cast. Are you ready to hear some of these names?
Yeah.
Meryl Streep, Leonardo DiCaprio, Jonah Hill, Timothy Chalamet, Kate Blanchett, Jennifer Lawrence.
Oh my God.
So those are just those are 6 or 7. How many did I just six names? And that is a cast right there.
Ariana Grande.
Yep, she's in there.
What? Himesh Patel. Oh my God.
This is a great cast. This is a great cast.
I think that. Wow, I think that Leo is certainly for the last century. He has been the most elusive star in Hollywood because it's very hard to land Leo. I mean,
yes. I mean, he took 4 years off of acting. People forget, from The Revenant to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah,
he's picky
for no apparent reason either.
Yeah, so it's interesting to see him popping up, and I mean, we're both excited for any time Leo shows up in a movie. There's no reason not
to. Obviously.
But I want to get your opinion on Adam McKay. Have you seen The Big Short or Vice?
I have not seen either. I've heard great things.
I like his directing style. I know some people don't because it makes almost that it's like too much, but I like his directing style, and I'm obviously excited for this. So,
yeah, I'm vaguely aware of like the kind of directing style. Like he employs kind of, I guess, surrealist tones.
Yeah.
Like I'm familiar with. He'll do like a lot of cutaways, a lot of fourth wall breaks, that sort of thing.
Honestly, if I were to compare him to someone, I would probably do Aaron Sorkin, who we'll be talking about here in a little bit.
Oh,
which is interesting. Like
that's interesting.
They have very similar aesthetics and use of dialogue. It's very quick, snappy, and to the point. So yeah, Don't Look Up is the new Adam McKay movie. Not sure when this is coming out, but I would assume a couple of years from now. I don't even think principal photography has started, but I'm excited for that. That should be fun.
Yeah,
and
that'd be fascinating.
Finally, my last bit, do you have anything else?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, we'll do this last thing here, and then we'll move on to that movie of the week. But we have a new Ridley Scott movie announced, and it is a historical drama about the life of Napoleon Bonaparte. And the movie's called Kitbag, and it is starring none other than the former Best Actor winner Joaquin Phoenix. Teaming up with Ridley Scott for the first time in over 2 decades after Gladiator, where Phoenix was nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
Yes.
What do you think about this, Sam?
Here's the thing. First of all, I would like to note that in the early 70s, Stanley Kubrick was slated to make a Napoleon film based on the life of Napoleon, starring Jack Nicholson as Napoleon, but that fell apart due to budget constraints because he was asking so much from the studio because he's Stanley Kubrick and he thinks he can do anything he wants. Anyway, I think, Ridley Scott is obviously a master at historical epics. He just has like so much expertise in this area. I guess epics generally.
Yeah,
So
he does.
I'm just excited. I'm just excited for this. This sounds at least good. At the very least, it should be good.
Yeah, and I mean, we're both fans of Phoenix. He's a great actor. I mean, I think we both kind of wish he didn't win last year for Joker. I mean, there's definitely better roles that he has done, such as The Master, for example. But yeah, I mean, he's obviously going to crush this. He'll probably be nominated for an Oscar for it. But this should be great. And I think it's going to be nice to have Ridley Scott return to form rather than doing these like alien movies all the time. So it'll be nice to see him go back to where he really found critical success with something like Gladiator.
Right. Yeah, I mean, he'll I think this movie is going to be at least 3 hours long.
Oh gosh, I wouldn't doubt it. How long is Gladiator?
Gladiator
is 2.5.
lengthy. Yeah.
155, yeah, 2.5. And that's if you're watching the theatrical cut.
Seriously. Yeah, I think we'll see at least at the very least an excellent Joaquin Phoenix performance, because he'll have a lot of room to breathe and move around and
do his
try
thing.
out his range.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think he's gonna have a lot of freedom on this too. I think Ridley Scott trusts him to do with what he thinks should be necessary as well. So we could really have an interesting performance out of him. So yeah, this excites me. Do you have anything else movie news wise, industry news wise before we hit our movie of the week?
No, I don't believe so.
Should we
let's get on to it.
Trial of the Chicago 7?
Yeah.
When we walked in here this morning, they were chanting that the whole world is watching.
If we leave here without saying anything about why we came in the first place, it'll be heartbreaking.
Last summer, why did you come to the convention?
To end the war.
We're giving them exactly what they want, a stage and an audience.
You really think there's going to be a big audience?
There we go. Trial of Chicago 7. Great trailer, by the way. I don't know if you watched it, but whoever cut that trailer is good at their job. So before we really get into the Trial of Chicago 7, I do want to talk Aaron Sorkin just a little bit. I want to know your exposure to him. How do you like him as a writer? And what do you think about him in general?
Aaron Sorkin is he's kind of his own breed. His writing style is unlike anything you know, like anything that you'll see. I think it's often mimicked, but no one else can really do it justice.
Yeah.
You know, obviously with The West Wing, he developed this ability to juggle a bunch of character lines all at once. And I think really his specialty is using character dialogue about something else to, I guess, bring it back to the point of the conversation. So I guess in that way, it's kind of an antithesis to Tarantino, because Tarantino will talk about random stuff with his characters in order to establish their characters. But, you know, Sorkin will use random ploys in his dialogue in order to get themes across or get a plot developed. And it's kind of astonishing how he's able to do that.
Agreed. He's a very efficient writer too, I think. I mean, sometimes, just use Tarantino as an example. Tarantino likes to throw in senseless dialogue that doesn't really pertain to anything, which I love because it creates it more realism. But Sorkin is almost like there's not a single word wasted in his scripts. Like everything means something. It's either there to be a chuckle or give you information, and it's also quick that it flows together very nicely in that sense. So it's unlike any other writing style, like you said. And I don't think anyone can really mimic it to the T that he does, because it'd be impossible to have someone else try to write like that. It's so him that I can't even picture anyone else doing it. And furthermore, I think that it makes sense to have him direct movies rather than just write them, because it's definitely like, I guarantee these actors were not given a lot of improv room. They couldn't do a lot of their own thing, I bet, because it's so quick. No one would be able to come up with that by yourself. So it makes sense that he's directing, because he wants them to stick to exactly what he wrote. He seems a very like script to screen person, not a lot in between, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's one of a kind, like we said.
Absolutely.
Particularly in areas of being able to, like you said, make the plot move with a certain amount of cadence. And you saw this in the trial of Chicago 7. So we should probably, like, I guess, how do you want to approach this? Because there's a lot to unpack with this.
There
movie.
is a lot to unpack. Let's. Where do you think we begin?
First of all, this is the first thing I wanted to talk about. Right, is the storytelling structure. The movie itself, the title of the film, is not false advertising. It is literally about the trial of the Chicago 7. That is the entire movie. But within that, there's flashbacks to the event that they're being tried for, right?
Yes. Yep.
That was a very effective way to structure the movie.
And
it
how
worked really well.
And how they blended together was very clever. I remember seeing. I was glad it didn't just go chronologically, I should say.
Yep.
Because it worked well that when we're talking about them forming, forming their plan to like go down and have these peaceful protests, then correlated with them in the flashback scenes trying to get their permits. And then when it was talking about the initial riot, it formulated with flashing back to the initial. Like it was well done in that respect, and it was easy to follow. You didn't have to, like, when they were in the trial, think back to when we saw the whole thing they're being tried for. You didn't have to think,
right,
where does this fit? It was easy and simple, which is almost needed for a Sorkin movie, because the dialogue wouldn't always give it away.
Yep. Yeah. So I mean, we have, now we have this structure. And how does that work for you in terms of developing the characters? I thought it worked again, and I think it worked really well. Because we're able to see all maybe in a period of 5 minutes, we're able to see how a character is developed by switching back and forth in time. We get, at certain points in the film when we're recounting an event, we get the event literally portrayed on screen, and then we get it retold by like 2 or 3 different characters at once in their own language. And that's very effective, not only for advancing the plot, but again, developing a character,
Agreed. I think that this is definitely a kind of movie that character development could get lost in translation, because it's so set on one specific thing of this trial. It's very contained, and that it'd be easy to get lost in that space. But Sorkin doesn't allow that to happen, because he recognizes that, hey, I still need to develop these people so you actually care about what happens to them. So that was effective. Agreed. And I do want to talk about the general story and how do you think it was faithful to the event? I was not aware of the trial itself. I was aware of the riots at the 1968 Democratic Convention. And from the base understanding of that I have, it was it seemed pretty accurate to me, which I really liked. I mean, I don't want something that's just spat on, because it seems more cinematic if you do it this way. So I did appreciate and respect that.
Yeah, I think that the event, the protests and whatnot, that was really impressive, just from a logistical standpoint of getting all those people together, and all those extras and everything.
Yeah,
and kind of recounting an event. It was very atmospheric, drew you in, and you were able to kind of experience the moment as it was. So yeah, again, it has that cinematic quality, kind of that grand scale. You look at the kind of the above shots of these people running up the hill, especially, is the scene I'm thinking of. But then you can also switch back to a courtroom, and then it's just kind of a closed courtroom drama. So yeah, it works pretty well. Then let me ask you, while we're still on general thoughts, what negatives, if any, do you have with this movie, just generally?
Sure. For me, there's not a lot, if any. It'd be mostly nitpicks, I suppose, of things that I might not have particularly liked, but there's nothing major to me that isn't or is bad here. It's, the acting is fantastic. The writing is obviously incredible. I liked the sets. I thought the sets looked awesome, and it seemed to stay true, and the direction was on point. Editing as flashy as I expected it to be. There really wasn't anything here that detracted from me enjoying this movie. Is there anything out of you that you did not like?
There's just a couple things. I mean, it does feel long at points, even though it's not too long of a movie, really. It's just a little over 2 hours, I think. But it did kind of have this impression of being long. The other thing is the ending I found a little too rushed, a little too unsatisfactory. But we'll get into that in a little bit.
Sure.
But other than that, this is a very well made movie. Very well made.
Yeah, and you mentioned courtroom drama. Obviously, Sorkin doing another one of those in 92, I think, with A Few Good Men. I think he excels in this because there is so much talking involved in a courtroom that is kind of where he can settle in and showcase his talents, which I think really works here. And I also liked that he did tone it down on some aspects. Something like The Social Network or Steve Jobs. He is just going so far in, where he's trying to be respectful of this event and the people that were on trial, that it feels like he took a backseat and decided to hone in his writing and not make it so outlandish, which I did really appreciate. This could have easily been something where it's just Sorkin trying to show how Sorkin-y he can be. So I thought that him toning it down a little was well done. And I just had to mention that because I appreciated it, because it could have easily been the other way.
Yeah. It's, Sorkin, he does a lot here. And like I might have mentioned before, but with Sorkin, he's also kind of a chameleon.
He is, yeah.
There was nothing here. Maybe this is from me not being able to, or not having consumed enough of his media, but you know, for me, if I watched this movie without knowing it was an Aaron Sorkin movie, I wouldn't have known.
Agreed. That's what I was trying to say. Where I appreciated that.
Right. It's its own thing. He just really writes for the moment and for the setting.
Agreed.
So yeah. Now I think we should get into spoiler territory and kind of talk about some of the nuts and bolts of this.
Sure. Let's go for it.
So first thing I wanted to unpack, let's look at Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, Richard Schultz. And the reason I want to focus on Joseph Gordon-Levitt has had a busy year.
Third movie. Good for
third movie.
JGL. That's it's good to see.
He's gone for like 4 years.
Yeah.
He comes back.
He comes
like
back swinging too. You know, he does this this really small, contained 7,500 movie, which we did an episode on,
right?
Where it's really just him. Then he does a superhero type movie. Then he does this. So I mean, he's all over the map too.
Yeah. I mean, but here's the interesting thing about his character, right? Because initially, towards the beginning, we kind of think, oh, this character is our protagonist because he's kind of the first main character we meet. He's contracted by the Attorney General to prosecute the Chicago 7. And then midway through, we kind of the I guess sympathy leans more towards the Chicago 7 and what their intentions really were. And we start to like these characters regardless of their personal ethics. And then towards the end, so I guess in the middle, we kind of think of Richard Schultz as, oh, he's kind of the antagonist. But then towards the end, he does something very noble and he stands up and claps. Or he stands up during the reading off of the names.
Yeah, and sorry, just to interject.
He yeah.
In the Bobby Seale scene, he also kind of fights for Bobby Seale a little bit and says that this isn't right as well. So we can see that he is good inside. Agreed. Sorry, continue.
Yes. Yeah, but like my thing is he's just a very interesting character because, you know, it's not clear what we're supposed to make of him. He is obviously ethically solid. Like, he's doing his job. He's doing it right. He recognizes that Bobby Seale should not be prosecuted for this crime. And at the same time, we're made to think that he's kind of the antagonist. He's pushing against these people's rights. But even at the beginning, he says, you know, this case isn't prosecutable. I don't think there's enough evidence.
Yeah.
You know, but he's contracted anyway. Yeah. You know. So yeah, I wanted your thoughts on him and his performance.
Well, I thought Levitt was great. Obviously, he's just a great actor. So when he's given good material, obviously he's gonna do a great job, and he did just exactly that. I think he was tasked with a tough role, someone who doesn't have a ton of screen time, but when he has screen time, he's asked to do a lot while going toe to toe with a lot of other great actors like Frank Langella and Sacha Baron Cohen, Mark Rylance. So he wasn't given an easy job, and I think he did very well. And I do want to.
I would agree.
I do want to get your thoughts. How did the dynamic of the 7 work for you? Like when they're at their home base or I don't know exactly where that was actually. I guess their home or where they were staying with while the trial was going on, I suppose. But
Yeah,
how did
their headquarters?
Yeah, how did all of that work for you?
I thought it was a nice mixture of personalities. I
Yeah.
mean, there's an underrated actor. John Carroll Lynch is really underrated. He's one of those faces you see.
Yeah, he's a great
lot,
character actor. Agreed.
But you like you can never put a name to him.
Yep.
But he's in everything. So John Carroll Lynch is actually great as like David Dellinger, who's like the
just
the
normal,
like not
dude.
the most non-confrontational out of all of them, and yet he's like the leader of this anti-war movement. So it's really funny to see, like, even in the protest scenes, he's like, no, move back. We have to, like, he's got his walkie-talkie and everything. So that's cool. And then I liked Eddie Redmayne as Tom Hayden.
Oh, Redmayne's great.
Because, yeah, he's great. He's rational. He's likable. The entire dynamic between Alex Sharp, Jeremy Strong and Sacha Baron Cohen is fantastic. Because they're just kind of facetious and provocative. And
I thought
they play off each other really well.
I thought Jeremy Strong, another underrated character actor. I thought he might have been my favorite part about this movie, acting wise. I thought he was absolutely hilarious. But aside from that, I thought he carried his own because he was given quite a bit of solo individual stuff to do, and he did it to a T. So I thought he did great, and the way him and Sacha Baron Cohen played off each other was just perfect. They were great.
I think it worked well. I think Noah Robbins as Lee Weiner and David Flaherty as John Foynes. Those were both kind of they were kind of throwaway because they didn't really do much for the story or the plot, but it's not like this was a fictional story, so I guess you kind of had to include them.
I do want to get your thoughts on I'm going to pronounce this wrong, but Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, Bobby Seale. I thought when he was on screen, the limited amount he had, I thought he was acting circles around everyone. Yes. I thought he might have been.
He stole the show.
Yeah, he's the best performer out of everyone here, and I enjoyed every second he was speaking or doing anything with his body. I thought he was absolutely fantastic, and I was not like sad, but I was a little bummed, like, we're not going to get to see him again because he got a retrial.
He's kind of he was interesting because he's a necessary part of the plot because, again, this is not a fictional story. But we're made to think that he's going to change something, like he's the fundamental protagonist there, and he's just not. Like, he's just removed. And that's not a knock on the movie because he has to be included because it was a real story, but also, like, it's kind of annoying that he's there and we're so invested in his character and then he leaves.
That's why I say I was bummed, because I'm like, we're not going to get to see him act anymore. That's why I was legitimately kind of upset, because I'm like, this guy is doing a really good job, and he's a nice up and coming actor. I'm excited to see what he does in the future.
Yeah. Has he been in anything else we know of? He was in Us.
Yeah, he's in Us. He's coming out with Candyman, the new Jordan Peele produced movie. Sure. So I'm sure that's going to be good.
Yeah.
Peele and his horror. But I want to let's sit down and let's rank our top 5 performances in here, because I'm interested to see what you have to say.
Yeah, there are a lot of performances.
There are a lot of performances and a lot of very good ones. And do you see any Oscar potential, or at least nomination potential, for anyone in here?
Maybe Yaha Abdul Mateen the
I
second.
think he gets nominated.
As best supporting.
Yep,
I
supporting.
think that's fair. Yeah.
I think number 2 and 3 for me are probably Mark Rylance, the lawyer, and then Sacha Baron Cohen, and I think one of them also get a Best Supporting Actor nomination. I thought they were both fantastic, but just on the outside, I thought Redmayne absolutely brought it, and I thought that the judge Frank Langella did very well. I mean, we're obviously supposed to dislike him, as his character seems pretty brutal, but you know, he really did a great job. And
well, he's an interesting antagonist too, because we don't. I mean, personally, at first, I thought of him as, he's a righteous guy. He's just trying to be objective. Justice is blind, that whole thing. And then as the plot progresses, you're like, oh my God, what is he doing?
he's not a good dude.
And that just goes back to how unbelievable this story is. Like, this story really happened.
Yeah.
And
agreed.
A judge did do that in American court, strapping him down and everything like that.
Yeah. And bonding. Yeah. That scene was tough to watch for sure.
It was. And I can't believe that they brought him back out in court.
Yeah. Like that. And
that's crazy.
Yeah. And I have no reason to doubt that did not happen as well. I'm not 100% aware of how the trial actually went, but I have no reason to believe that did not happen and that part is false. I have complete faith in Sorkin that he stayed true to the material that he decided to tackle. So it was interesting and sad to see that, for sure.
Yeah. So then, okay, so is there anyone else here that's Oscar material? I mean, it's difficult because there's no clear protagonist. I mean, you could argue probably Eddie Redmayne, but he's not like
agreed.
And by protagonist, I mean even like leading role.
I don't think there is
really.
I don't think there's a leading role in this movie. I think that's
it's I think it would have to all be supporting.
Yeah. What other Oscar potential do you see in here?
I certainly see like a best adapted screenplay.
I think it's winning that. I don't think there's any question about that.
Yes. Yep. Maybe even best director. For a nomination. I wouldn't bet on him to win.
I wouldn't either.
Certainly a nomination. Because this is a well-made movie, technically. Anything else?
I think editing, just because it's so flashy, and they're cutting back and forth between two timelines, so I think it might win editing. Actually, I think it will. And
editing's pretty good. Production design.
Yeah, it'll get nominated for that. And I think this is going to be nominated for Best Picture easily, and it has a decent shot of winning.
I would give its odds about 60% at this point.
Yeah, and
just
we
really haven't seen anything else come out yet.
But I think it has a decent shot of winning.
We're still getting into like Oscar territory. Like, this is still early Oscar season.
Yeah.
And
we still have yet to see Mank.
Talked before. We got to see Mank. We have to see. What else do we have?
We have Francis McDormand's Nomadland. I'm sure that'll be good. Regina King is directing a movie, One Night in Miami. I'm sure that'll be up for some stuff. But I did want to get your last thoughts. What were some of your favorite parts in this? Just really specific moments that stood out to you as being really good.
Like you said, man, like Jeremy Strong as Jerry Rubin was really effective for some reason. I mean, he's brought in as kind of comedic relief, him and Sacha Baron Cohen, but there's something about it, man, that he's a very well developed character.
Agreed.
We can kind of see what his intentions are. We can see him change. And his attitude throughout is just so enjoyable and fun to watch. Particularly he gets there's that scene where he gets essentially gaslighted by the undercover female cop. And he goes, isn't this like an ethical breach when he finds out that she was actually a cop?
Yeah.
Because they kind of have like a romantic relationship. And then they're like, well, were there sexual relations? And he pauses and he goes, we were taking it slow.
I was cackling at that scene too. He plays it so well, and it's so dry, but it's so funny.
Yeah.
A lot of I think with the source material, it's easy to say that this is a very serious movie, saying a lot, but it'd be easy to forget that there are a lot of funny moments in this movie where I was genuinely laughing. So good on Sorkin again, obviously. I really liked some of the more serious moments too, though. I did like the incorporation of actual footage. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yep.
But some moments, like serious moments that stuck out to me, I think, the interview with Sacha Baron Cohen's character, Abby Hampton, on screen, where he was getting press interviewed and saying like, what would he give for the cause, and saying his life was really effective. And just, I mean, he jokes around a lot, but that was like kind of I'm still very serious about this thing that I'm into. And then obviously, the ending you said might have been a little rushed, but I thought the Eddie Redmayne's speech was really good. The judge essentially saying you won't get any time is essentially what he said. And then Redmayne's character to say, screw that. I can't forget what I came here to do. Was really impactful as well.
Yeah, and so I alluded to this earlier, and I said, I thought that ending was a little abrupt. Where he sits and reads, 5,000 names in the middle of a trial. When it cut to the credits, I'm like, really? That's it? I guess that's effectively the end of the trial. And that's effectively the end of the movie. I guess it makes sense. But I don't know. I don't know why I have a problem with it. And then it does like the typical based on a real story movie narrative where it puts the text up on screen and it says this happened to this character and this happened to this character.
Yeah, sure.
So I guess it was the result of it had to be what it had to be.
Absolutely.
But
well, do you have any concluding thoughts before we move on to some star ratings? I think we kind of talked our way through this one. Is there any other things you'd like to unpack before we get out of here?
I don't think so. This is just a very well made film.
Yeah, that can't be stressed enough. It's very well made, is what it comes down to. Everything is very everything's consistent. There's not really a bad filmmaking thing you see in here. I mean, there's nothing egregious like that shot looks horrible or something like that. Everything's just very well done. And I enjoyed the heck out of it. And I'll disagree with you. I could have watched this movie if it were 4 hours.
Okay.
On the length argument. So there we go. If Sorkin made a 4-hour movie.
Yeah.
But are you ready to move on to some ratings?
Yeah, let's do some star ratings.
All right, I'll let you go first this week. What do you got for us?
I'm gonna give. Okay, so it is at 79% by my scale, and for me, like 79% that's teetering from a very good movie to a great movie. So I'm kind of on the fence about it. But because it's so well made, and because I had this conversation with you, I'll move it up to 4. Chicago of this Trial of the Chicago 7 is a great movie. 4 out of 5. And how about you, Will?
Nice. Yeah, I'm a little laxer on my ratings. If I really like it and I really like this movie, and if I recognize that it's a great movie, and I recognize that this is a great movie, I'm gonna give this 4.5. This is everything I wanted it to be, and a little bit more. And I wasn't let down at all, so I see no reason that it shouldn't be a 4.5. Where does this rank on your 2020?
This is, I believe, the 3rd best movie I've seen.
Okay. So just below, I'm thinking of anything, just below The Man Down.
Blow the Man Down, man. I love that movie. We'll have to, when the year is over, we'll do a kind of year in review thing where we'll talk over all our favorite movies or top 10s or whatever. But Blow the Man Down really blew me away. But yeah, Trial of Chicago 7 is a great film. And it's, if it won Best Picture, which right now I think it's, as we discussed, likely to, I would have absolutely no problem with that.
Sure. Good. This is my favorite movie of the year, by quite a large margin. I love Palm Springs. I'm thinking of ending things, but this tops them both for sure. I don't know what could beat it this year. I'm sure David Fincher might have something to say about that, but
yeah,
we'll have to wait. We'll have to wait and see. But for now, 4.5 and a 4. That's not bad. I think we can say
that's a good week. That's a good week.
We'll recommend this movie. But speaking of recommending things, maybe we should do a weekly recommendation for the listener out there. And Sam, do you have anything for us, or should I go first?
You should go first, because you always catch me off guard with these things. Go ahead.
We're going into this is interesting because we're going into Halloween season. We're going into a movie next week called Rebecca, which we will be reviewing next week. Rebecca, which is coming out on Netflix. So going into Halloween, which means horror. Going into a Hitchcock remake, which obviously means Hitchcock. So I figured it appropriate to, one, I'm going to recommend, this is barely a half recommend. I'll recommend the original Rebecca from 1940 from Hitchcock, but I'm going to recommend my favorite Hitchcock movie, my favorite horror movie. I'm going to recommend Psycho by Alfred Hitchcock. I mean, one of my favorite movies of all time, obviously, and I think it's absolutely perfect and entertaining as all get out too, which is kind of crazy because if you watch that movie, it's there's not a dry moment from even being from 1960, and then the early 60s. So yeah,
I think someone on Letterboxd said about it. It's the first movie that made them realize that black and white movies can be entertaining.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is kind of true, Psycho will do that to you.
Psycho is fantastic, but so I'm doing Psycho. What do you have, Sam?
Oh, well, with the Trial of the Chicago 7, I was thinking about legal dramas that I really enjoy, and I think that obviously the best legal drama of all time, regardless of how many legal dramas I have yet to watch, I think it will always remain 12 Angry Men.
Ooh.
So I will recommend 12 Angry Men this week. Again, a very interesting experiment in form. It's in black and white. It takes place in one room for just about the entire runtime, and it is 12 angry men talking and arguing, but it is endlessly entertaining. So check out 12 Angry Men.
And you love Sidney Lumet, if I'm not mistaken.
I do. I think he's a massively underrated director.
Okay, good to hear. So I guess check out Sidney Lumet too. But
yes.
So next week, just to conclude, next week we're doing Rebecca out on Netflix this week. It's dropping, I'm pretty sure, Friday. So we'll be here to review that next week, obviously. But Sam, until next time.
Keep watching movies, everyone. Have a great week.
Thanks for listening.